let's talk about one of the most successful investors in history, Warren Buffett, also known as the Oracle of Omaha. We're going to break down how he built his empire, all in the next 5 minutes. It all boils down to this one kind of baffling question. How does a guy from Omaha, Nebraska, become one of the richest people on the planet while living in the same house he bought back in 1958? It's a total paradox, and that's the puzzle we're going to solve. And really, these two numbers right here tell you everything you need to know. On one hand, you've got a net worth of nearly $149 billion. And on the other, a house he paid just $31,500 for. This huge contrast. It isn't just a quirky fact. It's the absolute key to understanding his entire approach to money. So, to piece this all together, we're going to look at 4 parts of his story: his insane personal frugality, the secret sauce behind his investing, how he built his company, Berkshire Hathaway, from the ground up, and finally, his incredible plan to give it all away. All right, first up, we have to look at the man himself, because you really can't get his investment genius until you understand his personal mindset, which was set in stone long before he made his first billion. See, his financial discipline wasn't something he picked up in business school. This was baked in from day one. I mean, look at this list. As a kid, he was selling gum and Coke door to door. He and a friend bought a pinball machine for $25 and turned it into a business they sold for $1,200. And then, at just 14 years old, he took his own savings and bought a 40-acre farm. This wasn't just a kid with a paper route. This was the foundation for everything. In that mindset, it never, ever left him. Even as a billionaire, he kept his personal costs super low, paying himself a salary that most big-time CEOs would probably laugh at. And of course, he stayed in that same house. For Buffett, money wasn't for fancy cars. It was a tool to make more money. So how did that personal discipline turn into an investment strategy that made him a legend? Well, this is where his frugality meets his genius. It's a philosophy he learned from his mentor, the great Benjamin Graham. The whole strategy is called value investing. And the idea is actually pretty simple. First, you figure out what a business is really worth, its intrinsic value. Then you just wait until the market freaks out and offers to sell it to you for way less. You're basically looking for a $1 bill that's on sale for 50 cents. And Buffett himself laid it out perfectly. First, you have to think like you're buying the whole business, not just a stock ticker. Second, you use the market's mood swings, all that fear and greed, to your advantage. And third, and this is crucial, you always give yourself a margin of safety, a cushion in case you're wrong. And all of that boils down to his 2 most famous rules. Rule number 1, never lose money. And rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Now, it sounds like a joke, but he's dead serious. Protecting your money is everything. If you avoid big losses, you're guaranteed to stay in the game long enough for the wins to pile up. This quote really nails the final ingredient: patience. Buffett isn't trying to time the market or make a quick buck. He buys fantastic companies at good prices with the intention of holding them pretty much forever. Okay, so he's got the mindset and the philosophy, but how did he actually apply it? Well, that brings us to the company he turned into a global titan, Berkshire Hathaway. Believe it or not, his greatest success started as what he later called his worst trade. In 1965, he took over Berkshire Hathaway, which was a failing textile mill. But instead of trying to save a dying industry, he made an absolutely brilliant pivot. He started using the company's cash to buy insurance companies. Why? Because insurance companies generate a ton of cash up front, what's called float, that he could then turn around and invest. And from that insurance base, he went on a shopping spree, buying up pieces of iconic American businesses. He got into the Washington Post, bought a huge chunk of Coca-Cola, and eventually bought entire companies like the BNSF Railway. Every single move followed his playbook: find a great business and buy it at a fair price. So what was the result of all that patient, disciplined investing? Well, by 2014, a single share of his company's Class A stock was worth $200,000. That's not a typo. That is the sheer power of compounding when you do it right. So he built one of the greatest fortunes the world has ever seen. End of story, right? Not even close. What's truly amazing is that the final chapter of his life isn't about hoarding that wealth. It's about giving it all back. Back in 2010, he got together with Bill and Melinda Gates and started something called the Giving Pledge. It was basically a challenge to all the other billionaires out there. Commit to giving away at least half of your money. He used his influence to totally change the game for large-scale philanthropy. And Buffett absolutely walks the walk. He didn't just aim for the 50% minimum. As you can see here, he has pledged to give away over 99% of his entire fortune, with most of it going to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He spent a lifetime accumulating it, and now his legacy will be defined by distributing it. And this quote explains exactly why he's doing it. He's not a big believer in passing down massive fortunes. He wants his kids to have enough to be able to build their own lives, but not so much that they don't have to try. For him, that money has a much bigger purpose, serving the world. So let's just quickly recap what we've learned. His frugal life created the discipline he needed. The philosophy of value investing gave him a clear strategy. Unbelievable patience let that strategy work its magic. And in the end, his true legacy will be about giving that fortune back to the world. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question. Buffett's rules are incredibly simple. So, why is it so hard for people to actually follow them? Is it just a lack of patience? Is it that fear of missing out on the hot new thing? Or is it just the temptation to try and get rich quick? That might be the most important question his life forces us to ask ourselves.